Hello, my name is Sarah, and this topic really honestly um, bothers me that I even have to bring this up, that I feel like I have to bring this up and share my opinion on it. And that is to like the reminder that you should be using your heart in romantic relationships versus before your ego and before your mind, and personally I would say don't even use your ego, don't even use your mind if you can, so stop that. Um so kind of let me preface the thought too. So I think that you should take a step back and reevaluate what you think love is. So personally, I think love should be naive. Love should be thoughtless. Love should be impulsive, you know? Because the heart isn't smart like the mind is. And I'm not saying that, you have to be stupid up in here, but when you are in love or when you are loving, you should have your guard down and you shouldn't have your mind so present to be defensive and to think too much. Um, Love should be poetic and free feeling, and it makes love memorable. If love, or when we are around our loved one, our partner, if that is the only time that we really feel free and we feel like we have no guard up and we feel like we don't have to think too much and we can act like children, that's special and that's not wrong, for that to be our safe place. You can be thinking and you can be mature, which is like the opposite of naive and the opposite of thoughtless. Like I said, you can be any of that at any other moment in your life, but it's like when you're loving or you're with the person that you love, that is how I think of love, and that's how I want love to be in my life. Um, like when you love, you learn about the vulnerabilities of yourself, the flaws, the strengths, and what you need from another. Um, you should want to experience the poetic and emotional love, that you see in movies and that you see in books. And there's a lot of people that say that that type of love isn't possible, but it is completely possible. I don't know the quote exactly, like from who, and I wish I did, but it says if something is possible, it will happen. It's completely possible to happen, if you were to allow it to. Maybe you haven't experienced that type of love because you don't love with your heart. You don't love with your guard completely down. You love instead with your ego, and you love with your mind. And that's why that cannot be accomplished. So personal opinion, or like personal like experience. So I have always loved and dated with the thought to experience and create memories and learn about me and learn about people. Because what else am I to be doing besides loving? That, I feel like that is what we are created to do. We are created like for one another, to love one another, to support one another, and to procreate, recreate romantically with another. So I think, any time not spent on completely loving truly and your heart on your sleeve is time wasted. So really all my life I've had no problem um giving myself to others for that experience and for the memories. Like I've mentioned, loving is simply what I do with my time. That's like that can be like a manifestation, if you call. Um and I did include this quote here in my notes: to see others as something to nurture and not to conquer. That is from a Kanye West song. So, quoting him. So, there's nothing to worry about in love. There's nothing to doubt. Of all things, doubt what you will, but don't doubt love. William Shakespeare. Let it be free flowing, and let yourself be free flowing. Because love involves you. So love requires you. It requires you to be who you are. And love is something that comes from the heart. So love is going to require your heart. It's utmost what it is. Your heart, what it is. So you need to completely give that in your relationships. So to go into the ego mistakes specifically that I'm thinking that I see so much in modern relationships. So let me just go down a big old list here. So not admitting when you miss them. Not admitting that you still have feelings for them. Not admitting that they are special compared to just anyone that you've dated. Not admitting your commitment level, the level of commitment you feel, how much you want to commit to them. Not texting them first. Not allowing yourself to need them. Not apologizing. Not allowing vulnerability. Not allowing them to hurt your feelings. All of these are so huge and so important. So maybe the ones that strike me a lot are, of course, not apologizing. But I feel like people are pretty good with this one if you're mature enough, and that's just something simply you do. Socializing with others, you need to know when you're wrong and when to apologize, and to know that the other person is in their own right. Not allowing them to hurt your feelings. So not allowing them to hurt your feelings is a real big ego mistake, because it's you're protecting yourself too much. I think personally, I want my partner to be able to hurt my feelings, because this signals to me that my heart is open to them and I care what they think about me. I care what they think about certain things in life, and I value their opinion, and that means I value who they are, their spirit and their brain and just them. It's I want you to be able to do that, because then I know that you've touched me deeply, right? Or that we can have that deep connection. And also them being able to hurt your feelings, as well as them being able to nourish you and compliment you. So it really goes hand in hand. And when they do hurt your feelings, or they're able to do that, this is a connection opportunity. This is a heart opportunity for you to express your heart. And you want heart expressive opportunities as much as possible, because your heart is required in a relationship. So the whole acting nonchalant or acting non-bothered, what is your need to seem cool to your partner? This is not, that is also, so that is an ego mistake, and it can also be a mind mistake, because you should not feel in survival mode in a relationship. That is something of survival, that you need to impress someone, or you need to fit in with someone. That's survival. That's not living, right? If you're leaning into survival mechanisms in a relationship, it's not it's not a relationship, it's socializing. You're not in love yet, or you're not letting your heart play its part enough. The nonchalant is very wrong in romantic relationships. Your partner needs to be able to hurt your feelings. and there is no need for you to protect yourself to seem cool to a person that you should love. It doesn't make any sense. A relationship is not a survival situation. It shouldn't be. You know, also like commitment level. So all the stuff that I mentioned of like interests, like your commitment level, you texting them first, admitting that you miss them, or like that you need them, or like maybe like you guys just saw each other but you feel, hey, I'd like to see you again. Is really like, it can stem from so many things, like the modern people's like lack of confidence, or not trusting in their heart enough. Like, you don't listen to your heart enough, and then so you don't sorry, a bug. So you don't listen to your heart enough, and your heart's voice becomes weaker. You never listen to yourself. And then so instead of listening to your heart because you've ignored it so long, you are listening to your ego. And again, if your ego has presence in a romantic relationship, it's not romantic. It's not a loving, safe thing. It's a survival situation, because it's like you have something to prove. You have nothing to prove. The only thing that you should be doing actively in a relationship is giving your heart, giving everything that you are, and learning about yourself and saying, okay, if I need to spend more time with them, that's what I need, and that's when I need to communicate to them, and if they are going to fill that role of, oh, you're too clingy, I don't think that clingy's cool, so we can't be cool, they've turned it into a social situation, and you can be off to the next, and you can learn that about yourself, and you're like, okay, I know that's what I need. I need quality time with my partner. I need this much quality time with my partner. And you learn about yourself, and you go on to the next, and you never quiet your heart's voice, because if you quiet your heart's voice, you won't know what it wants. So ego in a relationship really upsets me. I can have an ego in any other relationship. I can have an ego in my friendships, because friends are people that you fit in with. It's a group. It's your peers. You fit in with them. That is a survival situation. So yes, have an ego there, but not in a relationship. Not in a relationship. Personally, anytime I catch myself having an ego in a relationship, it sours it. It's almost like no more. So ego mistakes and mind mistakes. So let me go down the list. So asking friends outside the relationship for advice, peer pressure, how others are navigating their relationships, their expectations, what they forgive, what they don't, blah blah blah. Overthinking yourself. So how you express affection, what you need, do you need to spend more time together, kind of stuff that I just mentioned. Sexual needs and initiation of that. So mind mistakes. So this is kind of like your mind is taking over. Oh my gosh, the bugs are crazy. So it's like mind mistakes are your mind taking over in what should be an emotional situation. So the emotional situation is the relationship itself. Okay, so the first one, let's get into this. Asking friends outside your relationship for advice. This bothers me a lot too, because your friends are not the ones dating your significant other. They do not know your significant other as much as you do, most likely, and it should be that way, by the way. They don't have the heart for your partner like you do. They don't have rose-colored glasses. So because they don't have rose-colored glasses, the advice that they're going to give you is not going to have a rose tint to it. It's going to be very almost like cold. It's going to be very straightforward. It's going to be very simple, and it's going to be advice because it's not rose tinted. It's going to be advice as if you were single and as if you weren't dating this person, right? As if you didn't care about them. But you're in a relationship, so yes, you care about them. Yes, you give them the benefit of the doubt. Yes, maybe you compromise and bend certain things of yourself because you want them in your life. That really is what a relationship is. You know, when two very different people come together, compromise is so necessary. And you know, of course, there's other sides to this, I'm aware. But it's like people are so afraid of compromise, and then they wonder why they're single when they don't, when they're too, like, embarrassed, or they have too much of an ego to bend themselves a little bit just for someone to mesh with them and mold with them. You know, you have to be willing. If you want to let another into your life, if you want to let another mold into you, or, you know, puzzle piece connect to you, you have to be willing, and you shouldn't be embarrassed of that. It's almost like people are embarrassed of that, or they're afraid to do that because then they, like, lose themselves. Well, then you don't have the greatest grip of yourself, because if you did, you wouldn't be afraid. You know, personally, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to mold. I'm not afraid to compromise, because I know that when I'm by myself, I know who I am. But when it comes to them, when it comes to my romantic partner, I need to let my guard down. I need to welcome them. I need to, you know, realize what's wrong, or realize what I do that's wrong, or maybe something that I should give up, or maybe something I should have an open mind to, and I allow that to my partner like that. Romance should be special. You should have a soft place in your heart for them. Your friends are not going to when they give you advice. Don't go to your friends. Keep it private. And respect your man. Don't belittle your man. You need to look up to your man. You need to verbally speak aloud and manifest very positive things about your man as well, because their egos are really sensitive. And if you start verbally speaking ill of them aloud, it's like you are changing your, like, brain structure almost. So, like, your opinion of your man, you need to always speak positively. And if there's nothing positive to say, go to him about it. They are problem solvers. Go to him about it gently. You know, I've talked about this, bringing up issues to men, and let them know that something's going on. They want to fix it if they care about you. And if they don't, you know, move on, because your heart is speaking. Your heart is speaking for you. Your heart is speaking so loud when you bring up issues to your man, and only your man. Because your heart recognizes the emotional situation that it's in, and it knows its role. I'm hoping I'm making sense. So the peer pressure, like how others are navigating their relationships and everything, you know, this is kind of like similar to like my last video, like about advice. Like, advice completely ruins romantic, organic chemistry. You know, I pay no mind to any other relationship ever, because I want my relationship to be uniquely organic. I want it to be completely me and completely him. Completely my energy, completely their energy. And we mesh into one. And what we do is special, and how we navigate our issues is special. You know, how we forgive one another, and what tone we talk to each other in. You know, these things, romance does not have a rule. Romance does not have a blueprint. You create the blueprint. You create everything at every moment with your partner. And that's what's so special and beautiful about it. It's an emotional situation, so we act on things that we feel. We don't use our minds to reflect back on the rule book or reflect back on what everybody else is doing. Overthinking yourself. So this is awful as well. So this is like what I've been saying, letting your heart speak aloud. Doubting yourself, just overthinking what you need, is a big no-no. It's a mind mistake. You're using your mind too much. You should act upon everything that you feel. Sex is so much better, especially for the woman, when we are when we can completely become one with ourselves and one with our man. There it becomes this spiritual experience where you don't overthink anything about your body. You don't overthink or you don't doubt the love that he has for you, and it becomes this cosmic connection. And sex, like, you feel what to do. Like, if you want to touch here, you do, and if you want to initiate this, you do. It's completely feeling. And if sex is such a huge part of a relationship and it's such an emotional, heartfelt thing, why is nothing else about your relationship so heartfelt? Like, a relationship should be almost like constant sex or like constant foreplay. That's an easy way to think about it. Think of it as a constant emotional attempt to bond, a constant heart, constant affection, constant trying to, sexually touch one another. Sex is not ego, sex is not mind. Sex has no ego, sex has no mind. Only heart, only feeling, truly and completely. So use your heart. Use your heart. Go to your heart for everything in your relationship and have the courage to do that. And then like what I said, if that doesn't work, it was never romantic. It was a survival thing. It was a survival technique. Maybe you were lonely and this person was only a source of company for you. Maybe it was only a conversation. It was someone just to talk to. Because if you can't use your heart, you are in an ego situation. You are in a mind situation. And you don't want to be. That's not what romance should be. So I wanted to conclude this kind of, maybe like with the other, I don't know how to word it. I don't know how I was going to word it, but here's kind of the conclusion. So, of course, everybody's different. So think and recognize what you want out of a situation. So the situation here presently, obviously, is a romantic relationship. So romantic relationship is your situation. So think this. Here's an instance. Do you want connection? Do you want attachment? Use your heart. Do you want to be respected? Do you want to separate yourself? Sorry, I kind of cut out. Use your ego. Do you want to fix a problem? Do you want to establish something? Do you want to understand something? Use your mind. Okay, so you recognize what situation you're in and what you want. And depending on that, like the questions I just asked, depending on that, you know what to use. So personally for me, of course, in romantic relationships, I do want connection, and I do want attachment, and I want happy things, and I want intimacy, and I want love. And because of that, I use my heart. But certain situations arise where we can't completely disregard our ego, and we can't completely disregard our mind, so we must know when to use that. So if you're not being respected in your relationship, but you still want to save it, and you're not feeling respect in your romantic relationship, so you feel you need to separate yourself. That's when your ego comes into play, and your ego does a fantastic job of that, because ego equals self. Use ego. So when you use your ego, you're by yourself, because your ego is yourself, right? Ego has no room for where there is two people. So note that, when you use your ego, you are cutting yourself off. And this can establish that respect. Okay, so do you want to fix a problem? Do you want to establish something? Do you want to understand something? Use your mind. So if there's problems in the relationship, or nothing is quite established or serious, or you don't know exactly what it is, or you don't understand the person, you don't understand where they're coming from, then you use your mind. And usually after you do use your mind, you can then use your heart. So maybe that's what a lot of people need to do before they use their heart here. If you're listening to this, you need to use your mind, maybe to fix some problems that you have currently in your relationship. You need to understand your partner more. You need to establish a routine with your partner, something that works better for the both of y'all. And then when that happens, then you can focus on connection, attachment, and use your heart. And then when you can use your heart no longer, that's when your ego comes into play. It's like mind, heart, ego, like in that chronological order, right? So know where you stand, know the situation that you're in, and act accordingly. It doesn't make sense that people want connection and attachment and then use their ego. That's a huge problem. It's a huge avoidant problem. The ego is avoidant because, like I said, the ego is you by yourself. There's no room for ego where there's two people. Egos clash. Egos are separate. Person one, person two. No ego merges. It should be kept separate. So, very passionate about this topic today. I talked so much on it, I didn't think I would. Again, so nice to talk with you guys. Really take into consideration what I said, especially just leave the ego behind. Use your mind if you must, if there is that situation at hand, and then after that, focus on the heart and love all. Because it's like when you die, the one thing that you leave behind is, how did you love others? What imprint did you leave on them? What effect? That's the one thing that you'd be proud of. How did I love my kids? How much did I love my significant other? How much did they feel loved by me? You should be proud of how you used your heart. Use your ego and mind any other place, any other time. But your romantic relationship, no. And I don't want to. And I'm not going to start anytime soon. Thank you guys, as always. It's been great. Another great topic, another great brainstorm. Bye.